Hi everyone, it's Mac here, back to do another video. This time I'm doing it exclusively about companions. At level 16 you get a quest to go to the main city and speak to Sergeant Knox, that guy that you go and see when you first visit there, and also it gives you a bunch of quests along the way. You don't have to do too much messing around to get your quests. Here's the quest there, and I just have to go and speak to some dudette or dude, and it's in the city, not far to run. You don't have to mess around too much, it's quite straightforward. And just so you know, let me find it here, it is oh hang on, there we are, yeah, there. So not very far at all, just down the ramps and the stairs and everything from the top section. And here I am just outside the building now, and we obviously go through a little bit of editing here, awesome, and then we literally yeah, go and speak to the person, and it's fairly straightforward what you're going to get here. Asked about, you know, what kind of things the companions can do, and you can pause and read that for yourself if you really want to. But the basic premise is you get 4 types of companions. One's a tanky type, one's a kind of caster type, one, the dog, is the kind of burst damage dealer, and the cleric is obviously a healer. So depending on what you're playing, you might want to go with one that will heal you. You also might, if you really want to go for out and out DPS and really burn down targets quickly, if you're a rogue or something, you might want to go for the dog or something like that. Now, as a tanky type, myself, I chose the guardian, the cleric, should I say, the healer. But as you can see, if you read through some of these things, pause it every now and then, you'll be able to see the kind of specific things that they can do. You don't just get the one companion, you have slots, I think, for about 3 or 4. I think it's about 3 or 4. But you can only have one active one at a time. So anyway, I chose the cleric, and you get given a little thing in your inventory that it's I got a bit confused here, thinking it was going to be in my companion tab, and then obviously read the thing again. Yeah, and you just literally click it, select bind, so it binds that companion to you. You could sell that if you wanted to, but obviously, you know, if you want to keep your companion, that's okay. You get to choose it a name, and as you can see, I gave it an appropriate name, thinking it was going to be a guy, but it's actually a woman. But anyway, and there you go, and you've got now the companion bound to you, your character, and you can choose the enchantment that by this stage you will have had maybe a couple of enchantments that you can stick in there. And as you can see, there's a couple of extra slots for other companions there, and there's other slots to boost your companion even further when it comes to enchantments. And there she is, look at her. Oh, beautiful, Jesus. So yeah, I thought maybe she kind of would be in there, would be something in there, but it's actually, I believe, her inventory, and that's the basic stuff that she's got on her. And obviously for each one of the companions, you can get the types of companions. It's likely that you're going to get variants on that, you know, obviously more hit points and defenses for the tanky one, for example. And these are a couple of the vendors that are in this same area, and they are kind of obviously upgrading. You can upgrade your companions as you go along, and you can look at all of these. There's quite a few of them, quite a lot to take on board. Obviously particular ones for the particular companion you've chosen, or if you end up having all 3 or something like that, then you can maybe specialize, just have one particular one. But obviously everybody knows that in MMOs, particularly if it's an MMO that you might be spending quite a bit of time soloing in, that you can actually it helps to kind of boost your companion, or maybe have 2 companions that are quite well boosted, one that's maybe a healer, one that's maybe a damage type. Sometimes it's quite good with a tank companion if you're a tank, for example. But anyway, you go through all of that and you get to pick up a little bit of loot, which is actually an enchantment in case you don't have any in your bag already. But yeah, as you can see, I've got quite a bit in my bag. But yeah, so you could have just applied that one. It's nothing special, that particular enchantment you get. It's one of the standard ones quite early on, as you'd expect. And that's really it. You've now got your companion. The next stage is to go back to Sergeant Knox and hand in the quest, but basically there's nothing too amazing with that. It's done. There you go, some lovely music, and yeah, that's quest complete effectively. But yeah, so I thought it would be quite nice to be able to see what the companion actually does in combat rather than just talk you through actually what you do. Now, as you can see, she's back there all the way. I decided to play this a little bit initially as I'd been soloing fairly defensively, you know, having block up quite a bit of the time. And as you can see, she's actually come to join in. She is actually fighting, she is actually casting wards and heals and things like that, if you're watching carefully. And she is not really attacking much, but she doesn't really need to. It seems that the companions are quite intelligent. They will react. I had to, for example, be careful about taunting, using my taunt, so because she did get swamped quite a bit, and she really doesn't have much in the way of defences because she's a healer and stuff, as you might expect. So that kind of teaches us some good things when it comes to the tanking side of things. But she kind of, depending on what you're fighting, the companions seem to operate. I had a chat with a couple of people. They seem to operate a little bit like they're quite reactive to what you're doing and what you're fighting. If it's you know, a slightly harder enemy, which by now most people will realise their health bars are kind of divided into sections. You can see them in blocks as opposed to one continuous line. They tend to stay back a little bit, but when it's these kind of smaller ones, they tend to come in with just a single bar. And as far as I understand it from the couple of people I spoke to, it works like that in other ways as well with some of the other companions. The type of companion it is, for example, like the melee one will always try and get behind, but at the same time it will try and let you lead the way when it comes to what to die first. Effectively, it won't just go off on its own or just randomly run off and start killing stuff without you even wanting it to do that. It will. They do wait for you, and they do react to what you're doing fairly well across the board, from what I understand. The only one I don't know about is the actual tanking companion. How good a job he does, or she does. But as you can see, you know, I'm being fairly defensive here. I keep trying to keep the aggro off of her as much as possible. I did test it a little bit later on, as you'll see. Just kill these ones off. Kill this fool. Get out of my life. Right. Yeah. This is a Foundry quest, by the way, if you're curious where on earth all these mobs came from. As you can see, I've not really done much there. There's one guy hitting on her over the back there, if you can see that. So I kind of moved around to see what she would do. So as you can see, I'm just keeping an eye on her, watching her. She's getting bounced around quite a bit. She's actually decided to stand in a really bad place. Now that's possibly me moving the mobs in towards her, just to see if she'll back away or whether she'll heal herself. But they do tend to take her up a position, and as you can see, she got royally owned. So and that's her out of the fight now until you kill the enemies or you die. That's the way it works. You can sometimes the companions might get lost somewhere or something like that, and you can kind of re-summon them back. You can dismiss them and summon them in any way you want from your character screen. Quite straightforward, but you do have to be a little bit careful, particularly with so many mobs, about keeping, if you're using the healing one, keeping it away and using things like your taunt. As you can see here, I've just taunted, And there we go, try and get over there. Right, okay, so now I'm back in control kind of thing, and she's okay. All these enemies are on me, trying to use my taunt on cooldown and things like that. But obviously, whatever class you're playing, you're going to have to adapt your game style to the way that they play, the way that they your particular companion operates. You're going to need to heal it if you're a healer. You're going to need to make sure that you're both DPSing the same targets as stuff dies fairly quickly. Try and get burst DPS across enemies, because I mean, it seems like they're pretty cool from the people I spoke to, and also my experience with this cleric. They seem to be pretty cool. They seem to react quite well and all that kind of stuff, which is obviously really awesome. But yeah, I thought I'd show you another bit as well. Here's this is the character screen, and you can go to your companion section. You can do some basic training, and as you can see, there's a time limit. It's only 5 minutes, I think, on this first level of training. I've got some crystals, so I can, you know, boost that, speed that up. But yeah, I mean, so you kind of control things really straightforward. You can see the defences, you can see all the bits and bobs. Really straightforward what you can do. And I don't mean that as a criticism. It's a good thing that, you know, it's not too overly complex, or because generally speaking that tends to be where problems happen when things get too complicated. But yeah, I mean, as you can see just from this screen, you can see the main abilities that they use, and that's really it. Really good stuff. It's worth looking into. Yeah, and if you want to see some more Neverwinter videos, check out my channel, baby, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.